Hey everyone, welcome back to the Always Arsenal show. Now, first of all, apologies. I was supposed to do a post-game match against Newcastle Monday night when we got stuffed. That wasn't the reason we didn't do a show. The reason was I had technical difficulties and I panicked and I didn't have anyone to help me. But no, it's all sorted now and we're back. So apologies for that. Right, tonight, special guest that I've had planned for ages due to the fact that Everton is our last Premier League game of the season on Sunday. Welcome, Baz, to the Always Arsenal show.
Thank you very much for having me. Delighted to join you. I'm happier than I was at half-time last night, so it's a pleasure to join you tonight. So
for you and I, obviously, you know, complete different situations. We're desperate for Newcastle. We were desperate to beat Newcastle, to keep it in our own hands. And knowing the Arsenal, we're not keeping it in our own hands. Now we're relying on, no disrespect to Norwich fans, the worst team in the division to try and beat the fourth place team so we can actually beat you on Sunday. Oh, Baz, what are you Baz, you've gone. Don't know what he's pressed. He's pressed something. So anyway, I'll carry on until he's back in the room. So we obviously, everyone, welcome to the show in the chat room. Nice to see you all. So we wanted to beat Newcastle to keep it in our hands. It's not. Now we've got Norwich to hopefully beat Spurs, and we actually have to beat Everton. And that is why my guest was Baz, whose video and sound has completely gone, so I don't know what's happened there. We'll wait for Baz to come back. So I'm going to put this comment up because we're going to discuss this for a second. Rob C. PG has finally had the guts to show up after getting battered by Spurs. Absolutely nothing to do with it. I was on before Spurs. I said we wouldn't beat Spurs. And what's happened is, hold on one moment. What's happened is that I had technical issues after Newcastle. Was I upset? Not really, because I didn't really want to do a show, but unfortunately I did. I planned it and Albert and Tanner were going to join me, and trust me, I didn't have a chance. It all just didn't work. So obviously now I'll talk about our game at Newcastle. You throw me some questions until I can get Baz back. So basically, Newcastle, it was shocking, wasn't it? It was absolutely shocking. They couldn't string a pass together. The momentum had gone. The confidence had gone. Obviously, it was Newcastle's last game of the season, and they were desperate to win. So that's exactly what happened. Hold on one moment. Let me see if I can get him back. Baz, are you here?
I can hear you. I don't know.
We can't see. You've got to turn your video on.
Yeah, I've just had. I love the way you say it like that. That's brilliant.
Right. Everyone can hear you, but no one can see you.
Yeah. It's for some reason it's telling me my camera's off. Just bear with one sec.
Okay, we'll bear with, but I will continue to chat. There we go. You're back. Had to run the whole show on my own for about 4 minutes.
I was listening to your introduction. I was just going along, and the next minute it was black. I was like, "What has gone on here?"
Scouse Wi-Fi. So I was just chatting. As you can see, the comment from Rob C. Apparently, PG has finally had the guts to shout off getting battered by Spurs. So I'm assuming Rob C is either a Spurs fan or an anti-Arteta, because I'm not anti-Arteta, Baz. I'm totally pro, and I get sort of lambasted for that. But now we can go back to what I was saying. So we're in a different situation. You were desperate to beat Palace last night to stay in the league. And I'm desperate for Norwich, worst team in the division, to beat Tottenham and us to beat you. So now part one has sort of happened, you know, a little bit easy for us. Hopefully your lads are still out on the piss till at least Sunday afternoon, celebrating that. And I want to talk to you about that in a moment. Mm-hmm. And hopefully Norwich, who have been written off, come out fighting. You know, they've gone down, obviously. They're not in the Premier League anymore, let's hope. But anyway. So let's just talk about Everton a little bit. And obviously, Frank Lampard came in. You were 16th. You've ended up 16th. But one thing that I noticed today, and obviously I don't support any other team but Arsenal, but I felt was really unfair on some of your fans. You know, people, you know what I hate Baz, is when the celebration police come out and say, you should not be celebrating. When Arsenal, the youngest team in the league, celebrate something, honestly, the media go mental. It's like, what do you think you've done? Won the Champions League? And it really pisses us Gooners off. Now, last night, what they failed to understand is, and I don't understand this, you're a massive club. You've been in the top flight for 69, 70 years. Yeah. Mm. We're the only other club that's done it longer. Mm. To even think about relegation, not only have you got to put up with the red lot on the other side of Liverpool, your club could be relegated. Mm. You come from 2-0 down against a good Crystal Palace, they've beaten us, and win 3-2. And you're not allowed to celebrate. What the hell is that all about, Baz?
Yeah, it is rather weird. I've seen this, we've had bits and pieces of stick over it as well on our channel. And at the end of the day, football's all about emotions. Otherwise, we saw what it was like when fans went in the ground. It was sanitised rubbish. We watched it, of course we did, but it was boring. It was just... the players weren't the same kind of players. The games were flat. Fans are what football is, and it's emotion. And I don't think you can tell anybody how they should be feeling in any kind of situation. And like you said, we're just about to go into our 69th consecutive season in the top flight. We're actually played the most seasons in the top flight historically. But Arsenal have had a longer consecutive run than us. So we're the top two in that, and to be faced with that all season, it's been a rubbish season for Everton. Lost Carlo Ancelotti, fair enough. Real Madrid come calling, and then we go on a point and managing nobody wanted, absolutely nobody wanted. The fans, some fans made the wishes clear before he was even appointed, and the owner went against it. Appointed them anyway, and then. It's just been from one disaster to the next, really, all season. And we got him out the club in January, and we were in trouble. We might have been 16th. I've seen that today. Everton was 16th and whatever. Mm-hmm. The feeling was awful. The feeling was absolutely awful around the club. And Frank Lampard's come in and has just embraced the football club straight away. And people have got behind him. And he's a young manager, and he's learning his trade as well. And and at some stage, we played Chelsea the other week and we were 5 points adrift. We were in the relegation zone, 5 points from safety, and we had Chelsea, who were third in the league and on a brilliant run away from home. And we beat them, and we were able to pull ourselves out of it. So last night, when you sat there 2-0 down, we'd have won on Sunday if Michael Oliver wouldn't have intervened. The opening 20 minutes, we destroyed Brentford on Sunday in the opening 20 minutes. The referee should have given us a penalty, doesn't. The ball gets cleared and we're down to 10 men. And then even with that, we get a penalty on half-time and the lad should be sent off for a second bookable offence. So we'd have beat them with 10 men, being 2-1 up, but we didn't, and that's the way it is. And we went 2-0 down, and at 2-0, you are thinking, well, we've got Arsenal away where we don't do very well, one win in 25 years, whatever it is.
And obviously, we're going for fourth, so we're not on we're desperate to win it.
Exactly. So all that goes through your mind, and then you're thinking, well, we've got to rely on Brentford now to beat Leeds, and so to then come back and win, and the first time since 1977, Everton have been 2-0 down at half time and won a game.
No way.
Yeah. So all of these things were against us, and Palace are a good side, like you said before. So. For it to unfold the way it did, and for Everton to win the game, a diving header at the Gladys Street end with a couple of minutes to go.
Amazing.
That followed it. I don't care what anyone says. We can celebrate all we want. And it wasn't a celebration. It was relief.
No. That's what it was. Do you know what? Honestly, Baz, you beat me to it because I've got so many people in there saying about how can you celebrate. You know what? It's celebrating the relief. It's not celebrating the whole season. It is the relief. I mean, I was messaging you before you went in the ground.
Yeah.
And I said to you, I've sent you an email, and I went, don't bother checking it. You went, I can't concentrate on anything. Thank God, as an Arsenal fan, I've never been in that position. We've been down there and heading down towards that way. And then we came up, but I'm not sure at my age, Baz, I could cope. I can't cope with them at the moment every year, but to have, I'm like fuming with people saying you're celebrating staying up. It's nothing else. But so then comes the celebrations, and yeah, I can see a lot of people in the chat room. Don't worry, it was already on my list to ask, Baz. Your fans go on the pitch, which I have no issue with. I've never been on the pitch. I wouldn't do it. I sit up a tier anyway. But I always fear for the players. I always fear for the play, even if they're your players. I was fearing for your players as well. Yeah. Not because your fans are going to injure them, but it's scary. But then the incident comes with our Patrick Vieira. And obviously you must have seen that. It's everywhere at the moment. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I didn't. I'll be honest, I did not see it at the time. I was too busy kissing random people around me and dancing and all of that. So I didn't actually see what had gone on. I seen it today. I didn't even see it last night, to be honest. I've seen it today, and I think it's pathetic by whoever the fan was that was going over to him. I don't understand why he made a beeline for Vieira. We'd won the game. We'd stayed up. I mean, the issue at the moment at Everton is because of COVID and the way Everton's tunnel is tight. We put the dressing rooms in behind the goal in the park end, and so the players are coming out in that corner. The away team's coming out in the far corner. Normally, they'd come out on the halfway line. If that was the case last night, obviously the Palace players, Patrick Vieira, would have gone away, but it wasn't, and I don't understand why the police didn't direct them down our tunnel. But anyway. So I think it's disgusting. I'll be honest, I was made up Vieira, booted the lad, because there was just no need for. I don't understand why you go over to
just.
The man.
I don't know how old the boy was.
No, whether
he was cocky. Yeah. He's an idiot because there's millions of cameras. Everyone's got camera phones anyway. And it was disappointing. Obviously, Patrick's one of ours. Obviously, he's learning his trade as a manager at Crystal Palace. He's just lost 3-2. And I'm glad you said it's disgusting. It's absolutely outrageous. I mean, if this was Arsenal and it was a Spurs manager, I would have said exactly the same. It doesn't matter who it is. It's dangerous. And I know it's wrong, but I'm glad Patrick lashed out. I am.
He'll protect himself at the end of the day, and I'm sure nothing will happen to him. I hope nothing happens to him. But it's disappointing because our fans have been getting unbelievable praise the last few weeks for the way we've been welcoming the team and all that.
I'm actually just going to. I was going to talk about that.
In the last couple, we had the Ivan Toney stuff on Rico Henry on Sunday. One mindless idiot with racial abuse, which is disgusting.
Oh my God.
And he'll get sorted, and that's good. And I hope they throw the book at him. And then the same last night. It's one or two people, and like you say, I don't know how old the lad was, but I just don't understand why when we've won.
No.
If we'd have got beat by them, I wouldn't condone it, of course I wouldn't, but you'd be like, well, the anger or the emotion. But to me, that was a bit mad, but I'm sure it'll get sorted, and they'll identify him because, like you've just said, Amanda, there's a million cameras everywhere.
God, yeah.
So he'll be done, the lad.
Celebrate, absolutely. Even take the piss a little bit, have a bit of fun, but don't do that. Right, before we carry on, I'm going to bring a little surprise guest to the show. Unfortunately, he's not allowed on video, and he'll explain why in a moment. But welcome, Mr. Alan Myers. You need to unmute yourself, Al. There we go.
Yes, I'm definitely unmuted.
Oh, this is so cool. Now I've got two Evertonians against me. How are you, darling?
I'm absolutely fine. Yeah, me and Baz are a formidable team, I can tell you. You're in for a bit of trouble tonight.
Yeah. I know. Alan, explain to everyone in the chat room why we can't put you on video.
Because I'm ugly. And I don't want to frighten the kids. But let me I was just listening to you there talking about Patrick Vieira, and I went out to Nice a couple of years ago when he was manager over there, and met him and did an interview with him. And he's one of the nicest blokes you could ever want to meet. Real gentleman, proper football man. And you look at the video that I saw last night, and you see a man who's just making his way back over to the dressing room to be with his team. And there's absolutely no need for that whatsoever. It's a real dark side of the night. What otherwise was a great night. In some respects, great night because we stayed up, and it was really disappointing to see that, because that's not Everton, and it's not, it's not Everton and Arsenal, if you know what I mean. And I know it's not Arsenal we played, but Patrick is so tied to Arsenal. It's not what we're about as clubs, and and it was disappointing to see, really. But there you go.
No, I know. And for those that don't know, Alan's what do you call yourself? Commentator on? I don't know what you call yourself on Sky.
Well, officially, I'm a news editor, regional news editor.
Ooh.
So there you go.
He asks questions in the press conferences, things like that. He's a top man, Al. He is
a top man. He's actually become one of my friends, haven't you, Al?
I have. There's no two ways about that.
He's lovely. He's been on a few pods with me as well, Baz. So I thought I'd bring him on as a little surprise. I've got a little video soon to play of someone else that wants to say hello, but they can't be here tonight. But Al,
me and Alan go back. We work at Everton together, so we go back a long way.
Long way. Yeah. When tickets were £5 each.
Oh my God! You're showing your age, Mr. Myers.
Yeah.
Stop. Right, so Al, as you know, your game on Sunday against us means nothing to you lot. So could you please tell all your players not to turn up, or, maybe an own goal by Wobie to make everybody a little bit happier? Go on.
I was going to say, you say it means nothing. We could actually finish above Southampton.
I know you could, if Southampton lose, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that actually would be quite a thing for us, If I'm being honest, I don't think we will beat you on Sunday. I never have done. I've always felt that you'd be a little bit too much for us, whether we needed to stay up or we didn't. So yeah, we might relax a little bit more. You might be a little bit more pressured in the way you play, but I don't see that, in fairness. And I don't think your problem is going to be beating Everton on Sunday. I think you will get the win because you need it. I think obviously, the problem will be whether Norwich can do you a favour down at Carrow Road.
Al, can you just move away from your speaker a little bit? It was perfect to begin with, and now it's like vibrating.
Right, how's that?
No, terrible.
Really?
Right, are you on a phone or a laptop or something?
I'm on a phone, yeah.
Near a speaker or something. It was fine to begin with.
Okay, let me just see it move around. How's that? Is that any better?
No. Have you got an earpiece in? I'm saying earpiece. He can't even see me.
No, you're pointing to your ears.
I'm pointing to my ears.
I haven't got an earpiece, no.
Maybe an earpiece might help, Al, if you can find one. You can hear it, Baz, can't you?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you too fine, but okay.
It just must be the mic. It must just be, yeah.
Have you moved slightly?
I just have now, yeah, just to see if that made it any better. But
it's the northern Wi-Fi, I tell you, it always happens.
just 1 second. Yeah. Well, it's two cans and a piece of string up here, isn't it? Of course.
It is.
Let me just move.
Because it's like a stringy noise. Anyway, let's move on. Right, so your 16th, Baz. That's your season. And obviously you would have prayed for anything in the last 2 weeks to be 16th. Absolutely sure. People want to know, do you think Frank Lampard's right for the job?
Do I? Absolutely.
Do you?
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. I've got no doubts about that. Whether or not he goes on and gets better and better, we'll see. But he came into Everton, and if you're not on the inside, as in you're not an Evertonian, the fracture within the club was incredible. It was incredible. There was no unity. Fans were arguing with each other. There's a lot of issues going on off the pitch. The man that was at your club, Mr. Mashiri, is just, some of his decision making has been atrocious. You can throw money at stuff, but without a plan, it just becomes, pissing money up the wall, pardon the phrase. But that's what he's done, and he's used it as a train set almost. But I think Frank Lampard's been brilliant. He's come in and he's managed to get the fans together. I think he gets it. I think he's got a good coaching staff there. And I'm quite pleased with what we do going forward. I think he gets the club. That's important. And he's had a lot of criticism, and to me, it's been absolutely nonsense. The criticism he's had. You know, Rafa Benitez had won one game in 14 when he got sacked, which, you know, I'm 50 and I've never known a run like that in my lifetime. It was absolutely abysmal, and yet his mates in the press were still peddling this nonsense that he was doing a good job and it was going to be fine in the new year when he got Dominic Calvert-Lewin back and this player back. And it was nonsense. It was absolutely awful. He should have been sacked after the derby at Goodison.
So how did you feel when Rafa came in? Because he's Liverpool in my head. So did you all feel like that or not?
How would you feel getting a Spurs manager who...
Baz, it's never happened to us, but George Graham went to Tottenham.
Yeah, he went to the one. And listen, fans ultimately will accept if you do well. You've got to win. If you come in from a club like that, from a rival club, you have to win. I think, you know, most of the fans didn't want him. And when you do what we do, you often try to you've got to give people a chance. While I wasn't exactly enamoured with it, it was a case of, well, let's see what he can do then. You know, and a lot of people wanted me and Ped on our channel to start getting on his back from day one. And we were never going to do that. It was a case of, let's just see what happens. But it become quite obvious early on that, and talking to people around the club and people in the game, it just wasn't the right fit. It wasn't the right fit. So we were delighted when...
I don't think I could have stood it, if I'm honest. If someone
imagine having a Spurs manager and then you go, well, I'll give him a chance. Say it was Pochettino, for argument's sake. I'll give him a chance because we need something new and blah, blah, blah. And it starts off okay. Don't forget Everton were top of the league for the first 4 games or whatever it was. And Arsenal were bottom, actually, weren't they? And turned that down. But then you start losing games and he starts to come out with stuff that is nonsense. And you're going, well, that's not really happening. You're telling us we're playing well, but we're not. And we're doing this. And then it gets worse and worse and worse. Then people argue with each other because some people want to try and give him a chance and others don't, and others hate him. And that's what it became. And that's why when Lampard come in, it was a mess.
I don't know if you can hear me at all, guys.
Yeah, go on now.
Am I back? I'm back, yeah. I think what you have to say about Rafa, and this is why, for me, it was just a non-starter. It was never going to work, no matter what, you know, what you felt of him. And, you know, and I've seen him down his career. I've reported on his team, you know, when they won the Champions League with Liverpool. And I've seen him, you know, put in some great performances as a coach. But I think what you've got to look at, and I said it at the time, is that at Everton, the way things were, there was always going to be a rough period. You know, no Everton manager is going to come in, and Frank Lampard will have this situation as well. We're not in a position, you know, we're not one of those top 4 teams. You know, we're not going to come in and start winning regularly. So there's going to be rough periods. And then you have to ask the question, and this is what baffles me about Moshiri making the decision. You have to ask the question, who's best equipped to be able to get through those little rough patches, which you're inevitably going to have? And the last person out of, you know, if I had a list of 1,000 people, Rafa Benitez would have been 1,001, you know, because he was never going to get that support when the bad times come. And as I say, that they were inevitable. And that's what's happened. So it was never going to be a success, you know, and that's what upsets me. You know, but that's what disappoints me in the decision making, is that they don't see that, and they didn't see that, and it was clear as bell. You know, we had it at Blackburn Rovers, you know, when they brought Owen Coyle in, you know, and the same thing. The guy had, they were 4-0 down against Norwich in the first game of the season, and the guy, that was his honeymoon over 45 minutes. You know, and the same sort of principles were in play with Rafa Benitez, and I think that's where the problem was. And then there's wasted 6-7 months of a season, which you could have been building with a young manager. Yeah, you know, whether it was Lampard or anybody else.
Well, Christophe Galtier, Al.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my choice. Yeah, and 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 so I think that's where, they've made a number of mistakes, I think, over the last few years. They're well documented. But I think the biggest one was that, because you just knew. And as I say, that's nothing against Rafa Benitez. Don't get me wrong. Whether he's a good coach, you think he's a good coach or he isn't, it was a non-starter.
Yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because we're now a few seasons ahead of you, where you've brought in a old player. We brought in one of your old players, Arteta. And honestly, I can't tell you how much the fan base is so split. I mean, I can even see the comments arguing. Look at the Arsenal fans arguing about how much he's a fraud. Someone says, I can see the process. And it's so much like being in Brexit and Remain. Honestly, you're just never going to win the argument. And everyone has to choose, go with their opinion. My opinion since day one is he joined a sinking ship. Wenger, then we had Emery, then Lundberg, then we've got to go with someone. I've liked Arteta from day one, Baz. I spoke to Alan about him, and obviously, he's worked with him, he knows him. I know he's an Everton, not hero, but you admire him. I see him as the way forward, the way you see Frank Lampard. But for me, and I will say this live on air, he's got one more season. I do believe that this summer and is the big one, because unfortunately, the first 3 games of the season, as you rightly say, we were at the bottom. We played Brentford, we played Chelsea, and then we played City at the Etihad. And I remember sitting at the City Etihad saying to my mates, I don't even know if we're not going to get relegated this year. And everyone laughed at me. And I said, no, I'm serious. Because we honestly, no word of a lie, played well for 6.5 minutes. And then we capitulated. And I walked out of there and thought, if someone now would have said to me then, you're going to get 5th and you're going to go in the Europa League, I probably would have said, you need to go and see the doctor. But that was my aim. We were 8th for a couple of seasons. We needed to get back in the Champions League. Sorry, European football.
European,
I don't think we've got the squad for Champions League, but unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever way you look at it, the last month or so, it was in our hands. And as much as I'm still very happy that the lowest will finish is 5th, and that was exactly where, before the season started, what most of us were aiming for. People can say what they want. I never knew anyone that said we'd hit the top 4. No one. It was in our hands, and all we had to do, maybe even draw or beat you on Sunday, and we would have had it. Now it's completely out of our hands. And I think it's really unfair to say that our players bottled it. It wasn't bottle. It's just sometimes in life, you run out of steam, and we ran out of steam. We've got injuries galore. We're playing very, very tired players, which I know people are going to say you're not in Europe, but you've got young kids that have been playing all season. Yeah. Major injuries to Partey and Tierney. That's just to a thin squad. I'm sorry. And it's not that I'm making excuses. I can see all the comments. I'm not making excuses. This is facts. We've got a thin squad. Who's that down to? Well, Aubameyang stopped scoring, so he had to go. They didn't go for anyone in January. That probably has caused a problem. And Arteta's come out today and explained why. He would have been locked into that person through the next season, and he didn't want that. He's obviously got his choices lined up. I think we're going to see a different. I think we're going to see a different Arsenal coming into August. But how many more seasons if he doesn't progress, say, into the Champions League? Because we did have it was in our hands, and it was so. And it's so close. And the funny thing is, Baz, I've always said this about Arsenal. We still could get this. Tottenham might not turn up. Norwich might surprise us with a 2-0 win or something stupid. We go and beat you because thank God you're safe. And I'm sitting there on Sunday night, and everyone is eating humble pie that was wanted said. But it's highly unlikely. We know that. I'm not sitting, but we know football's a funny old game. So you're coming into the match on Sunday. Are you coming down for it, by the way?
No.
Would you have come down if it would have meant maybe relegation?
God, no. I mean, nerves, last night was enough. My nerves wouldn't have been able to take it.
Absolutely, yeah. Alan, so we've spoken to Baz about last night, and obviously we've spoken to about, you know, the pitch invasion and Vieira, but I didn't message you last night. So what was your nerves like going into the game?
You know, I don't really suffer from nerves in that way. I don't. You know, as Baz will know, you know, we've had experience before. You know, we've back in '98. It was, you know, in the last 2 minutes of the game, we were still possibly going down. So, you know, this game was, even though there was another game to play, and I know, you know, what I said before, you know, I never thought we would go to the Emirates and win. There was still another game, so it wasn't so much the panic as there was back in '98 when we played Coventry. But I've never thought that we would go down, and I don't know. I can't explain it. You know, I don't know why. Maybe it's just a bit of stupidity on my part, sorry. But I've never felt. I've always felt this team was good enough and had the talent. And when you look last night and seeing the way, and not only last night, but in games against Chelsea and Newcastle, and you know, other games in the last few months, you know, you've seen the quality that they can do. They can get through a game. And that has been really reassuring for me, you know. But then we were easy to beat, and that was the worry. You know, we can conjure up a defeat from nowhere, and that was the worry for me, you know. But no, I think I think it's about right. I think they've stayed up. I think the 3 teams or 4 teams that are below them right now are probably worse than them, you know. And I think the positions are correct.
Okay, so that leads me nicely, and I just want to read this comment from Rob C. PG is so stubborn over Arteta, he brings nothing, and that's fine. I've got no problem with anyone criticising me. You know, total, absolutely right. You know, you're entitled to your opinion. That's what football's all about. Yeah, exactly. But what makes me laugh is when he's done nothing. Yeah, we're in Europa League next year. Let me tell you how many clubs would have been.
Hasn't he won an FA Cup?
Yes, he has won trophies. Listen. At the end of the day, I mean, look, another one, Jeff. I love Jeff. No argument about Arteta. He's an arrogant waffle. Turn it in, PG. Stop talking crap. Well, I will be talking crap for a long time.
Jeff should get off the fence.
Get off the fence. Tell me what you really mean. Behave, PG. 4th was in the bag, which I've just discussed. Maybe you'll blame Arteta for that. I think a lot of the players have a lot to blame as well. As Granit Xhaka, who I'm very proud of, came out and said straight away on Monday night, do you know what? I need to rant on here a second. I know you two are Everton, but I need to talk about Gary Neville for a second. Okay. As a player, a great player, I can't deny that. But we had massive rivalry with United, as you both will remember, during the 90s. Okay. It was us and them until Abramovich walked in and changed the platform for football, but it was us and them. And Neville used to kick us all over the park. Absolutely did, and got away with it, because United, in my mind, got away with a lot more at Old Trafford. Now, jump forward to him being a Sky pundit. I thought he was excellent. I loved listening to him and Carragher. I know a lot of Gooners don't like either of them, but I loved it. I loved both of them. I thought they were brilliant until the last month or so. Now, you probably wouldn't have noticed this, you two, because you're not Arsenal, but Arsenal fans will know what I'm talking about. He literally, I was screaming at him at Twitter. Honestly, I was literally livid. So I was screaming at the TV and I tweeted him. We played Tottenham. It's still debatable whether that's a penalty or not, because if that's a penalty, then every game needs a penalty like that. But at the time, I thought it was. Referee's given it because Cedric has given him a decision to make. You'd have thought Gary Neville, you'd have thought the way he was talking about Tottenham, they've won every trophy and were the best team on the planet ever. He was absolutely in awe of them. And it was so biased, the commentary. I have no idea what's happened. He did it against Newcastle as well. What I have a problem with, you two, is when that Sky and Al, tell your mates at Sky, when you have a Liverpool Everton derby, say, yeah, you're gonna have a red, you're gonna have a blue, and you may have a neutral. I just feel that maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should have an Arsenal and a Tottenham player, because they're not neutral. You know, Jamie Carragher will never be neutral about Liverpool, ever. Neville, who's got nothing to talk about United at the moment, will never be neutral, okay? So when he was doing our game, he's neutral, isn't he? But he wasn't. And then Monday night, Granit Xhaka comes out. He's asked a question. is it an age thing? And he says, if you're not old enough, do not turn up. Because regardless of age, you should be ready to play. He has got slaughtered by Sky. Never went on a rampage after it, Al, which I was livid about, as you can imagine. You're asking Granit a question. He knows Forth has gone out of their hands. They've played atrocious. Do you not want human emotion after a game? Listen, when I do a post-game show, I lose it. I'm better off a couple of hours later. Yeah? So I stick up for Granit, and he's not one of my favourite players. He's right. If you're not old enough, don't turn up. If you're not ready, don't turn up, regardless of age. But Gary Neville has literally torn us a new one lately. And, well, that's interesting, guys, because that's good. I'm a United fan, but Neville is a bellend. He is. And I was really upset as Harry treated our players. So when it comes to your derbies with Liverpool, Baz, how do you feel? Does it bother you what the pundits say? If you're not at Anfield, because I know you'd be at Goodison, but say you're not at Anfield. When you're at home, are you throwing things at the telly at times?
Yeah, I mean it is so annoying. I mean the problem is there's so many Reds that are pundits now. You know, we had the derby the other weekend. It was Souness and Carragher and Redknapp, and then it was, you know, Kevin Campbell thrown in for Everton. But Carragher, my issue really is the fact that they co-commentate. I can't get my head around why Sky do that. You know, you'll have Neville commentating on Manchester United. You'll have Carragher commentating on Liverpool. I just don't understand it. I honestly don't understand it. If you're going to do that, you need to have a red and a blue, or if it's Arsenal, Tottenham, and a Tottenham player and an Arsenal player in the co-commentary team. I've never understood why you would not want it to be as neutral as it can be. But then I guess it comes down to basic numbers, Amanda, and who watches the shows and stuff. And there's obviously a lot of Liverpool fans, Manchester United fans who subscribe to Sky and other, not just Sky. You know, you see this with BT and you see it with other stuff as well.
I actually think the commentators on BT Sport are good.
And so we have, when Everton are on, you won't see this, but BT has like McManaman and people like that. Yeah. I don't really want to hear what they've got to say about it, even though McManaman, by the way, was constantly at Goodison and still is Evertonian as a kid. This family of Blues. And
isn't Carragher as well? Wasn't Carragher a Blue?
Like, I see Carragher because I'm doing something for Sky on Tuesday with Carragher and Neville, to be honest. And every time I see him, I just call him a professional Red because he's an Evertonian. He was born.
If I get, you know, what I'd say on this is that, you know, they're pundits and they're there to provoke conversation. They're there to provoke debate. You know, and you know, some media outlets are a little bit more provocative than others. Let's say. I think you see some certainly radio stations who, you know, who throw things out which are really sort of beyond the pale, you know, and you know, I think they're two good commentators. I think they, you know, and you might say, well, I'm bound to say that because, you know, I work for the.
I think they're spot on, but I'll say this to them, and I've said this to Carragher before, is that he shouldn't be allowed to commentate on Liverpool, and Neville shouldn't be allowed to commentate.
I agree.
If you're watching it and you're not Man United or Liverpool fan, then it's bad because you can. It's like me trying to commentate on Everton. You know, the derby the other week.
I paid to listen to that, Buzz.
Yeah, imagine it. You know, the derby the other week. I was watching a different feed, a different channel on, and it was Jim Beglin, and who was equally biased, by the way. But I got sent so many bits of Carragher's comments during the game, like the Richarlison one that we've all seen. The lad rolls his ankle, you know, nearly does his ankle ligaments in, and he's screaming, "Just get up!" and all that. But yet he will never reference Mo Salah throwing his arms up like he's being shot every time. And that he is a brilliant. Don't get me wrong, Neville and Carragher, the analysis they do on a Monday night is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like the best thing you'll see anywhere. They're brilliant. And I love listening to them because they're brilliant. But
in my
still
years, though,
keep them away from co-commentating on their own team basically.
Yeah, no, I get the point. Yeah, but in my experience in the past, in my years of being with Sky, you know, before I went back to Everton and Blackburn, and you know, I used to get accused of being this fan, being that fan, you know, and we were always getting accused of, you know, there's lots, from my point of view, I always get asked about Everton. Lots of Evertonians that work at Sky, you know, and you know, I hope I know they are, you know, professional and they do the job. Listen, you know, yeah, I mean, I get your point about commentaries at times, you know, but we're looking at it from different, with different glasses on, you know. And
But Al, can I ask you a question? I want to direct this directly to what Granit did. So your commentator at Sky asks him a question, he answers it, which is what we all want to hear, not just as Arsenal fans, as football fans. Yeah. They go back to the studio and Neville tears him a new one, right? Now, don't you want that natural reaction where you don't want boring players to go, well, you know, we tried our best. You want that honesty sometimes. He didn't throw any of our players under the bus. He was asked a question and he answered it. And Neville lost it. And what I was upset about Carragher is he kept quiet. He didn't say to him, you know, come on, Gary, as players, when you've just come off, you've just lost a really important game. It was so important. We were crap on Monday night.
What you've got to remember is that he's paid to give his opinion. And that's his opinion, you know. Now,
but it's wrong.
I'm
sorry.
No,
I'm sorry, he's wrong. His opinion's wrong.
I get it. I get that you don't agree with him, but that's his opinion, you know. And you know, whether you like it or you don't like it, that's what it's all about. It's all about opinions, you know. And
Amanda, can I say something about an outsider? Because obviously we're outsiders. I don't know whether Alan feels like this as a fan, not in his work, his day job. But my opinion of Granit Xhaka is that I think he's let Arsenal down on so many occasions. So when I see him coming out and making these statements, I just think, me personally, and I don't watch him all the time, you can tell I see him in certain situations. I just think sometimes you've got a cheek saying that when you're like the Man City game you were talking about before, game 3. Arsenal are well in that game, and he throws in a ridiculous challenge and gets sent off before half time and things like that. So I think maybe, I don't know, because I can't speak for Gary Neville, I've got no clue, but maybe he's looking at it from an ex-professional's point of view and thinking, how many times have you let your club down and you're coming out and calling other team members? Now that might be off. I'm just saying. I
understand that, and you know, Baz, Xhaka has let us down more times than I've had top dinners. I totally agree. But the second half of the season under Arteta, he has curbed a lot. And I will say something else. I'm really not a big fan of Xhaka, and everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, there are tackles that Xhaka gets sent off for and booked that your club, Liverpool, City, Burnley will do the same tackle, and we always say the same thing, if that was Xhaka. Now, yes, of course, I've seen many a time where I've gone, oh my God, what has he done? There's not many a time I've looked and gone, he didn't deserve that. I understand that. But let me tell you, it doesn't feel fair. And I'm not doing look, as you said, you had that with the referee last Sunday when you should have had a penalty. Each club can do it. Apart from
Jordan Ayew, absolutely disgusting challenge.
But the thing is, it's really hard when your rivals are Tottenham, and I'm not being, I can't think of the words, but I'm not being like, I can't think of it. Bitter? I'm just, no, not bitter. No, well, I suppose it is really in a way. I feel they are so treated differently by refs. And now I've never looked at that over the years. And they always say it, and you know me, Al, and you know me, Baz, I don't really follow anybody. I've got my own opinions, always have, maybe wrong, maybe right, you know, or proven right, wrong. But I've got my own opinions. And I used to laugh at people that used to say, refs have got it in for Arsenal. Refs have got it in for Arsenal, probably because of Xhaka. And I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. Every club can say that. Every club can say that. But recently I've noticed things that, honestly, if you would have looked at the Son elbow on, oh, my God, what player was it? Someone help me out because my brain's gone. Holding, obviously. On Rob Holding, yeah? He elbows, nothing. VAR don't even look at it. But yet Rob Holding gets sent off, and he was right to be sent off. I'm not saying he wasn't. But before that, Son should have been sent off for the elbow. But because it's Son and Kane, and you saw what Kane did against Robertson, should have been sent off for that, got a yellow card. So for us, I do feel that Xhaka and the reputation go hand in hand. So Monday night when he did that, I wouldn't have even looked like you did and said, you know what, you've got a bit of a cheek here because you've let him down many times. He's asked a question. I would like to see more players come out and do that. But I understand what you're saying. There's no way I'd sit here and say Xhaka's innocent. But there have been...
Are you making lists now, PG, about things that go against you?
No.
That's when you know you're really bitter. You know?
No, I know. I'm not out. I promise you. And you know, I've never discussed this. And you got bad. But aren't you known as, is this a bad thing to say to you lot, bitter blue? Because obviously I've got a load of red mates, you know this, and I've got a load of Evertonians.
Well, we're known as the bitters, aren't we?
You are, yeah. Blue nose, and they're...
Yeah, but we're not, I won't go into why we are, but the fact that...
I dated an Evertonian, I probably know why you are.
Well, there
but...
you go. Given that with labels, that is...
Can I go back? So something you were talking about before, which I found was really interesting, talking about Arteta, and I think, it sort of moves into the Lampard situation as well. Is that, do you feel as an Arsenal fan that he's making progress? Because I think that's the key issue for me with any manager. Do you think he's progressing?
But facts tell you that. He was 8th, now he's 5th. We're back in Europa.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you can't talk to me because you know from day one I've supported him and I'll continue to support him because I think I can see everything he's trying to do. And I think hopefully a lot of the Arteta outs we've been filmed by Amazon. Can you imagine the script writers at Amazon going, in the 90th minute on Sunday, Norwich score and Arsenal score. Arsenal win, Norwich win. You can't end a series better than that on Sunday unless you're winning the league, which obviously we're not. So, no, I just feel with Arteta that someone's got to come in and change the dynamic of this club. And he is. He's got rid of the deadwood. Go on.
Here's the thing, right? Everton and Arsenal actually share, I think, quite a few similarities, in many ways. Now, you've obviously been more successful recently than we ever have, but back in the day, when we were winning trophies, we were quite close as far as trophy winning was concerned. And, I think what happens is you get to a point, if you go backwards for a few years, which, both, as I say, us a lot longer than you, but what fans want to do is they want to jump 3 spaces and get to where, winning trophies. We want, don't we? But we think we should be winning trophies. But the bottom line is, and I think we keep making the same mistake, is that what we need to be doing, we need to be focusing our minds and our progress on moving up the league, getting to a stronger squad, getting to a place where, it's like when they talk about these, what I call the superstar managers, bringing Ancelotti in. When Ancelotti came to Everton, I asked the question, don't ask whether or not Ancelotti is the right man for Everton. Ask if Everton is the right club for Ancelotti. And I don't think it was at the time, even though he did well and, and I liked him, but as it proved, he got Real Madrid offer and that was it. It was over, and that's what I think and it's difficult to do when you've been at a club that have had the success that Arsenal and Everton have had down the years. Our expectations, and we can't go against that because it's what we demand and you should demand it, but there's a progress and a system that you've got to get put in place first before you, and we're much further back than yourselves with regards to a system and a process and a way of playing, even, like an identity. And that's where Lampard has got to, but he's got to progress,
He's got to do what Arteta did. He's got to come in and get 100%. Rid of your dead wood, take control. Yeah. And I had Stuart, our photographer at Arsenal, as a guest. It was one of the most amazing shows. He's with Arteta and the boys 24/7. And the things he was telling me, he admires Arteta so much. And it was so fascinating to hear how in charge he is, Arteta, and what he's doing for the youngsters and how much everyone wants to play for him. And I would advise anyone in the chat room to go and watch that show. It was wonderful with Stuart. He's going to come back on, but Al, are you still okay to stay for a little bit? Because I've taken...
I'm happy as hell here. Yeah.
Oh, he is, right. I've got a little video to play for you, Evertonians. So here we go. Hold on.
Hi, Evertonians. quick message. Sorry I couldn't be on to say hello to you, but this is the next best thing you get. I hope you're well. Look after yourselves, and I know it's been a difficult season all round. I'm recording this on Dickieble Thursday, but obviously it's early. So I'm hoping the Blues will be safe by tonight. So take good care and look after yourselves. All the best. Up the Arsenal and up the Toffees. You know how it goes. Take good care. All the best.
Oh, that's our KC. I did invite him on, but he's busy.
Yeah, we always say in the media, you know, don't, when you record something, make sure it's timeless. You know, that you can't see what time it is, of course, it's got to be Thursday when Kev records.
There's a Dickie vote.
It can only be Thursday.
We love our KC, and he'll be on in the close season as well, because for all of us, it is the last game of the season on Sunday. I mean, you lot have been through hell and back, absolutely. And we've been through sort of not hell and back, but it's a different sort of feeling, because it's been us, United, Spurs, and it's just been going round like that in the league.
We'd take a bit of your help, I can promise you.
I know, and this is what I was going to say, Al, is that some Arsenal fans are so... I don't know what the precocious, pretentious, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but they're so ungrateful for where we are, because their demands are the Wenger era, the first 10 years of Wenger, where we just railroaded everything and won the double, the Invincibles, everything. And we had Henry, Bergkamp. Oh, the list is endless, what we had.
But that's natural, though, PG. That's natural because, you know, it's not that long ago that you were there. So, you know, the fans demand that. And I have no problem with that, because I think if you don't demand the best, you won't get the best. You know, I remember when you speak to Neville Southall, and Basil know this, you speak to Neville Southall, and he thinks Everton should go and try and win the league every season. Now, it's not realistic, if we're being honest, you know, but the bottom line is that's the mentality that wins trophies. And, you know, wait till you get to 28 years. I've just been looking at 2 photographs of me. One with the FA Cup when I joined Everton. It was the season and they'd won the FA Cup. I've got no wrinkles. I've got dark hair. You know, I've got my own teeth. You know, and if ever a picture or 2 pictures told the story of how long it is since we've won a trophy, that's it. You know, and that's when you realize, you know, your expectations are unrealistic, isn't it, Baz? You know, you want, you know. I don't want Everton fans to lose their demands for the best, you know, because, like I say, once you start not expecting the best, you won't get it, you know. So we have to be like that, don't we, Baz?
Oh, you've got to be, because otherwise, if you haven't got those demands as fans, who else is going to have them for you? And if people, sometimes at football clubs, you get people who play it safe and want to dumb down and tell you how good you are if you're finishing 7th or whatever, whereas the fans are always expecting and hoping that you can win trophies. So I understand what you're saying about Arteta and Arsenal. You know, from the outside looking in, he's done all right. You know, there's progress. You're 8th last year, you're 5th. He's won an FA Cup. You're right, Amanda. He's got to prove himself this season. There's no question about it. But I also understand people being frustrated when you had the Champions League place in your hands, but I wouldn't have put Arsenal in the top 4 at the start of the season. I just wouldn't. I thought Manchester United, having finished runners up last year, would be stronger. They just got Ronaldo as well and Sancho. I thought Chelsea there anyway, but I thought they'd be strong. But then I wouldn't have put Spurs in the running for the top 4 either. I thought the Spurs, certainly at the start when they had Nuno, I thought they'd be struggling to finish top 8, even though they had Kane and Son. But they've done brilliantly under Conte. But then, so, you know, for the fact that Arsenal and Tottenham are going to take that 4th place, I think that's brilliant, and brilliant for a lot of the league as well, especially Arsenal, the way Arsenal have done it with Arteta. But he's got a big season coming up now, and I'm not an Arsenal fan, and people, Arsenal fans watch them home and away, and I don't. So, you know, I would say he's cleared a lot of people out, like Aubameyang and, you know, Ozil and people like this who had to go on big money, and with draining the club. Lacazette's another one now. It looks like he's going, and, you know, if Arsenal can get Gabriel Jesus, or, you know, I know they're after or they were looking at Calvert-Lewin as well. So, you know, if they can change it and go again, then he'll have done well. But you do have to allow a process to play out, because
absolutely,
if you if you were to sack Arteta, who next?
Exactly.
Because there's not. We found
it'd just be a swing. It'll be a revolving door. It'll, and then half the fan base. Yeah, but half the fan base won't like them again, and there'll be all this again. And we've got to stick with someone, and I just feel is the right one. There is one question I'm going to come to about Everton.
Vieira, but go on.
Yeah, do you know it's interesting? I was at the Etihad a few years ago, and I was walking out. I was in the corporate side, and my Scouts mate went, "There's Vieira." Well, you couldn't see me for light or day, and I went up to him, and obviously we're in the Man City, so you know he doesn't know I'm Arsenal. I went up to him and said, "When are you coming home?" And he looked at me and he gave me the most filthiest look and he walked off. And I just stood there and I was like, no, you need to come home.
I'm an Arsenal fan. You need to come home.
I probably should have said that actually, because he honestly gave me such a filthy look. But just one thing that's come up in the news today, but I wanted to say something else. And this is, I promise you, Baz, you haven't known me long enough as Al does, but I'm really not biased. But Tottenham aren't that good. And this is not me just saying that, okay? They're not.
Front two.
Son is an absolute phenomenal player. I honestly, I would love watching him if he didn't play for that lot, but he is a great player. Harry Kane, whenever he wants, turns it on. But apart from that, don't rate anybody else in that team. I don't. And if one of them was out, United, Arsenal and Tottenham have all not been great this year. Okay, any one of us could have got it. United really fell off badly, so it became against us too. And as you can see, we've fallen off a couple of matches. But anyway, I just want to move on to a question from Carl Stark, because I was going to ask you this. Okay, so can you ask Baz and Alan about Leeds and Burnley's complaint about Everton's £370 million loss over the last 3 seasons? Are they nervous about punishment from the Premier League? I'm assuming you're aware of all this.
Of course.
I'll start with you, Baz. Go on.
Am I nervous? No, not at all. Everton have been working with the Premier League for 12 months. Every bit of business Everton have done in the last 12 months had to be rubber stamped by the Premier League. Every signing we've made has had to go through the Premier League before we were allowed to complete the deal. COVID and everything else has brought it. Whether the losses are 100% due to COVID as much as they are, who knows? Personally, if I was Everton, I'd be challenging the Premier League's rules anyway, because it's nonsense when you see what other clubs do.
Yeah.
Man City and teams like that. But no, I'm not nervous about punishment because the Premier League are well aware of it and come out and said a while ago that there was nothing to see here. So, I understand why Leeds and Burnley are clutching, but that's all it is, clutching. And if they didn't do anything about, and I'm sorry, Mandy, you're in with this as well, but the Sly Six trying to get off and feather their own nest last season.
Oh God, don't. Yeah.
And they didn't do a thing about that, then they haven't got a leg to stand on, really, if they're coming after Everton.
Well, not if the Premier League have dealt with your club for the last 12 months on everything. Exactly. There's nothing.
It's a nothing story, to be honest.
Al, can you sort of add to any of that?
Yeah, well, I think there's a certain few realities that you have to look at in this. One of them is, first of all, is that one of these clubs is going to be a Premier League club next season. So, I'd find it very odd if a Premier League club was to take the Premier League to court for a start. Yeah. So you're left with one club. I saw somebody on Twitter earlier this afternoon talking about, liking it to the Derby County and Wycombe Wanderers and Middlesbrough situation. Well, Derby County were found to be in breach of the rules. Everton haven't been found to be in breach of the rules.
Right.
So that's a non-starter. And I think, as Baz said, I mean, I was invited to a briefing a month or so ago when Everton announced their accounts, and there was a number of journalists there, and we were able to ask questions, about the accounts and what it was, and because I think Everton sort of foresaw that there was going to be questions asked, and they were very adamant that they've been working with the Premier League, they've been in consultation with the Premier League for a long time. I think if either Leeds or Burnley, and I think it will only be one, does have a claim and wants to claim against, I think it has to be against the Premier League, because if the Premier League are happy and have given Everton the green light to do what they do, well, I don't think you can really count Everton on that. So I don't think it's. Listen, I do understand it, as Baz says. I get why the question is being asked, but we have been in unusual times, and I think, like I say, what I think reassures Everton, and they are very comfortable with the situation. I think what reassures them is that they've consulted fully with the Premier League, and they feel as if they've been upfront and clear. But that, like I say, that's not to deny Burnley or Leeds the opportunity to do what they think is right for their club as well, and that's fair enough.
It's a bit weird that it comes out the morning after you escape relegation, though, isn't it? I mean, apparently it was dealt with before. Old. Yeah, exactly. It's just paper talk, isn't it?
Yeah. And listen, that's what it's an interesting story today, because of the situation. It wouldn't have been a story if Everton was still fighting for Premier League survival. So, or if Everton were 10th, and it didn't affect Burnley or Leeds, So it is what it is. But I don't think it goes anywhere personally.
Okay, boys, we've done an hour. God, it's gone so quick. It's just brilliant. I know. See how I told you you'd enjoy it. You always enjoy our pods, don't you? Baz, right, prediction for Sunday. I know it don't really mean anything to you, but let's do a quick prediction.
Okay. See, I don't like betting against my team. Do you know what I mean? But I feel I think Arsenal will win, because I think it'll mean more to Arsenal. I think Everton will play in a relaxed manner.
Yeah.
I think we can just go out and play. I think the manager's already said today he's going to give a couple of players. I imagine Dele will start. He's not started, and there might be one or two other ones. So
Dele Alli. Oh, great.
Yeah. He was superb last night.
But he's Tottenham, isn't he?
I know.
Hopefully he'll score an own goal, and he'll and Norwich has scored. That'd be quite good. Sorry, just running off.
3-1 Arsenal.
3-1 Arsenal. Baz, come on now.
Well, he stole me thunder, really, because that's what I was going for. And I'll tell you why. I think you're. Listen, what's interesting from an Everton fan point of view is that we don't know how this Everton side will play without the pressure. And we may see a different team. But what I would say is that we are easily to, we do concede easily, and I think Tottenham. What I'm talking about, Arsenal are a fast flowing. When they put it together, they're really fast up front, and they could cause us problems. But I also think that you concede as well. So I think we will get a goal at some point.
Trust me, we'll concede.
Yeah. But I don't think, like I say, I can't see this current Everton side getting the result there. I just think Arsenal have got better offensive players, and you will, not compared to Everton's, but they've got good players offensively, and I think you can beat Everton. But like I say, from an Everton point of view, I'm looking forward to seeing how they react to, disappointingly for you, it is Dele Alli did make a difference. He added quality to the second half last night. He brought a different ball. When the ball was being passed around, it was, and you could see.
Trust me, Al, he's going to play on Sunday like you've probably never seen him play against us.
But you could see Dominic Calvert-Lewin looked a different player in the second half. Because he was getting good service and he was getting good balls in the box, and and Damari Gray helped with that one as well. So yeah, I mean, it will be a difficult one. I wouldn't put it past Everton to get a result, but I just don't think they will.
Yeah. Well, I think Arsenal's needs greater. That's why.
Yeah,
it is, but it's going to be very tight. Trust me.
Do you play pressure football? You see that
we will come out if we don't come at you from the first minute. I want to know why. I do want to know why. That the game plan has to be that we come at you. This is the first time this season that you probably can enjoy it. I still can't sit and enjoy a match. People in the chat room, give me your predictions and I'll put them out. So you can enjoy it. You can have a beer, put your feet up. I'll be in the East Upper screaming at your players and screaming at my players.
I'll tell you, the last time I enjoyed coming to the Emirates was when Deulofeu scored in the first season of Roberto Martinez. That was a great game. We absolutely battered you that night, that day. and we drew 1-1. You know, I can't remember who scored for you. You went 1-0 up, but it was a great game, and it was you know, we were having a party time at the time, weren't we, Paz, as Everton?
Yeah.
But it's not often. Now, we were actually talking last night about Highbury, you know, and some of the great times we've had there. You know, I mean, we never got much from Highbury, to be fair, you know, in our time. But what a great ground. You know, we were talking about grounds and how Goodison Park was pretty much the last one to really feel like it felt last night. But Highbury was always like that. I used to love going to Highbury, you know. I was going to say it was difficult to park there, but I don't think the Emirates is much better, to be fair. Anyway.
I found it easier to park at Highbury than I do at the Emirates, but different rules many years ago, that's for sure.
Yes, that's right.
Everyone in the chat room, if you've really enjoyed this show, would you mind leaving comments on YouTube? Because I'm just trying to build the fan base up. And I love the fact that I've had Everton fans here tonight. I've had United fans. I think I've had a few Spurs fans. Unfortunately, I did have to block someone tonight, which I've never done before, but I won't have the reference to Hillsborough. Absolutely not to Liverpool fans. I will not stand for that. So sorry, I had to block that person. I appreciate that I started this show back in January, and this is my 19th show, and I just love it. I love talking to the fans, my amazing guests, especially these two. I've had the most wonderful time, and in the close season, I'm going to have even more wonderful guests too. So I'm not going to stop through the summer, only when I go away for a couple of weeks.
Well, let me tell you, Amanda, let me tell you something, right, while I've got the Arsenal fans listening. My first experience of Arsenal, right, was many years ago, and you'll tell me what year it was. I don't know, it was 72 or 74 maybe. And all my family, my dad, my 6 brothers, are all Liverpool fans. I was the only Evertonian in the family, right? Don't ask me why, it's a long story. But I was sat there, I had to be in the front room, you know, as we used to call it in those days. And all my family were in the back room watching the match. And of course, the great Charlie George scores his goal, doesn't he? And I ran in and I did the celebration. I laid down on the floor and put my arms out. And
71.
By my brother. 71 it was.
71. We beat Liverpool. Of course you're going to do that.
I was 11 years old, and I've never been so happy than to lie down with my arms open up like this. And Charlie showed me. My dad went mad, but that was my first experience of the Gooners.
What an experience. I was only 2, Al, but apparently, and this is an urban myth, I'm telling you now, this is not true. My dad said that I could recite the 71 double team. At really? 2 years old, I was 2. He's such a little liar, my dad. Who will be watching this? This is a nice little comment. Thank you, Adam. I've never sat through a podcast with opposition fans. This was the first one, and it was a pleasure listening to both of them. See, I do have good guests. I've seen a comment I can't post, but anyway, Robert, thank you so much. Yeah, I can see it. Right, so everyone. Gooners in there. We know what Sunday means. If you're going to the Emirates, for God's sake, get behind them. Sing North London Forever, our new anthem, which I absolutely love. Let's get behind the boys. Even if Everton score, just get behind them. This is it. This could be the difference between Champions League and Europa League football. Although I'm happy to be 5th, I am. Sorry, people that don't like that. I think I've always said this, that we're going to go and win the Europa League. That would be the funniest thing, and Tottenham got knocked out the Champions League. But funnier things have happened in football. We sort of 99.99% know we're going to be 5th. But
the thing is, you might win the Europa League, you're in the Champions League.
Exactly.
To it, so.
It could be, couldn't it, next season?
Yeah, and have a trophy.
And have a trophy as well. If you've, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the Same Old Arsenal channel. And please write in the comment box whether you've liked it or not. It's absolutely fine. What you'd like to see as well. I don't know when my next show is. It could be next Thursday night, May the 26th. Obviously, that is a very big date in Arsenal's calendar. I'm not going to talk about Anfield 89, even though these two will probably love it. I may be doing a show that night, and I may not. Of
Michael Thomas.
I knew you'd like that. Yes, and Mickey Thomas. Gone for a whole show without mentioning 89. Baz, you've been incredible. You are definitely coming back next season. Well done for staying up.
Come on and talk about Arsenal.
I know, it's great, isn't it? And I love having opposition fans. I don't know why more podcasts don't do it, because you just get the same old churn out with podcasts and Arsenal, and it's great because you love your club the way we love our club. You know, you're talking about VAR and referees not giving you penalties. We've got the same thing going on. But thank you so much. And if anyone wants to subscribe to Toffee TV, I'm sure all Evertonians do. They're a great channel as well. My mate Al down below with no face, who I love to pieces, who since the first time he came on a podcast with me quite a few years back, has always supported me and championed me. And thank you for coming on tonight. I just so appreciate it.
I hope you're singing like a canary on Sunday night.
Oh, see, that's why I love you. Singing like a canary. See what you did there?
The thing, right? I'm going to show my age even more now. You said about I said about my age before, but I'm going to see Gilbert O'Sullivan on Sunday night.
Oh my life! Even I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, the good thing is I'm not going alone again, so we're all right.
Sullivan. Well, you have a lovely time. I'm hoping that we stuff your team. Actually, it don't matter if we win 1-0, as long as we win. I don't care. Well done for staying up. Really must have been an amazing feeling last night. Please God, I never have to go through that. I wouldn't be able to cope.
Please God, we never have to do it again.
Yes. Hopefully you'll have a better season this year. Unfortunately, when Arsenal come to Goodison Park, we're not doing very well at the moment. Hopefully that will change as well. And it's one ground I've not been to. And I've always said I'd love to come with Al and Kev and sit with these two.
2 years left and then it's gone.
I know, because of your new development in the docks, isn't it, around that area? I love Liverpool. I've been to Anfield so many times. I really need to get to Goodison, but the problem is when we play on your Monday night, I can't do it. But I really want to come up. Guys, you've been brilliant. Everyone in the chat room, thank you so much. Right, this is it, the last game of the season. Let's do it. Let's be Avenue. Come on, Delia. You got to do it for us Gooners, and we've got to do it for ourselves. Thank you for joining us. Always Arsenal, and I'll see you very soon. Up the Gunners.